All right. Hi, Karen. How are you?
I am wonderful. Thank you so much for asking. How are you?
Doing fine. Thank you very much. Let's see. You've got all kinds of stuff here on your bio. You want to talk about your company for a little bit? I know you got a book to promote, but I'd like to get a little backstory on you before we get to the book. Tell us about your company.
Okay, so I am the CEO and founder of KC Baker and Associates, and we are a financial brokerage firm here in the Washington metropolitan area. I actually have two offices, one at the National Harbor and the other in Tyson's Corner, Virginia. And we, in a nutshell, help people with money, depending on what their financial goals are. So it could be someone who's trying to set up a college fund for their children. It could be someone who is nearing retirement and they need someone to help them strategize to make sure that the funds will last past their lifetime. It could be someone as simple as trying to have a budget or someone to create a budget, creating emergency funds, learning how to create legacy financially, setting up plans for that. So it really depends on what the client needs from soup to nuts, we do.
So, money management.
Money management, financial planning, financial, anything dealing with future money, I would say.
And you've also got a book to promote, and I think that's probably why you're here. Um,
Yes.
your book is called, it's a big long title, right?
Yes,
Live
it is. It is.
Live, Love, Reset, God's Plan, the perfect person to get cancer from adversity to prosperity. Did I do that right?
You did it. You got it.
All
You
right.
got it.
Well, this sounds like an interesting story. Why don't you just tell us what happened?
Well, I was diagnosed with a very aggressive cancer in 2019. And during that process, it was very, very, very grueling, to the point where you could say I was on my deathbed January 2020. And going through and learning about cancer, multiple myeloma to be exact, and the process to help you get better, the medicines and all of that, the cost and all of that. I just figured that I really needed to share that process and I needed to share all of the different ups and downs and tragedies and things that I've had happen to me in my life over the past 6 or 7 years. It's been a roller coaster. And so I was speaking with a friend of mine, and they said, you know what? You really need to write a book because people would not believe all the stuff that you've gone through because you don't look like what you've been through. And I said, me write a book? Are you kidding? I'm running a business. I've been in business for well over 30 years. And, people have always said, have you written a book? And I said, no, that's on my bucket list. And I said, let me do some research and see if my story is book worthy. And lo and behold, I spoke to a couple of publishing companies and they were like, "Oh, you have more than one book in you." So, yes, most definitely. So then the journey began, but this was really healing for me as I couldn't even lift my head up off of my pillow. I had to have someone literally walking with me. I used friends and my children as a human crutch because I was so weak and in so much pain. So this writing this book became healing for me first. And I'm praying that I can help someone see that just because they're going through something that looks grim and you really don't know what the other side looks like, if you just have the will, if you just believe in your God, our God, um, and understand that He's going to be with you the whole way through, that you can get through this. So that's where the book materialized. So it's not just about the cancer, it's about depression and being in the wrong types of relationships and different surgeries, emergency surgeries that I had to go through over the last 5 or 6 years, and how I weathered the storm financially. So I give some good tips about how I weathered the storm financially, because if you think about it, I was out of work for over a year. how many people can really survive and not start losing things if they're out of work for a year? So I show how I did that. I show how financial planning really is a must. And we just don't know what's on the other side, what's next week, what's tomorrow going to bring. But we've got to have financial planning, financial plans in place so that when the unknowns hit, we can weather the storm. So that's where the book came into play.
Well, that's very good advice. And I think people, especially people who have no medical insurance,
Mm,
it doesn't take much for them to be
exactly.
completely wiped out, because just even going to the
Exactly.
doctor is $300 or something like that just for a visit. I know cancer treatment is expensive. I know my father went through it. I went through that with him, and his bills were in the hundreds of thousands.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. When I looked at one of those bills, one shot was $13,000. And I got a shot, one of those shots, during the chemo treatment that was literally 5 hours once a week for 11 months. And one shot was 13,000. The average person
No.
they can't handle that. Even with insurance, because most insurances don't pay for anything 100%. So what do? You have to have a plan. So I go after each situation or each challenge that I've had in my life over the past 6 years. At the end of the chapter, I give how I weathered the storm financially and try to get people to understand that they have to begin saving and they have to begin paying themselves first, so that you can weather these storms of life. And, as long as you live, the longer you live, something is going to happen. We just don't know what. We don't know what the price tag attached to that looks like. But can you really put a price tag on your life when you're talking about, I don't have enough money to put together a cancer team? So I had three doctors, and one of them didn't take my insurance. And I saw her every week, 250 out of pocket, just to see her every week, and the medication on top of that. Or no, I won't say medication. She's a natural doctor, so it's all natural elixirs and different supplements that you take. But the insurance does not consider that um, anything that they would pay for. So every week I was spending close to $600 or $700 just for her.
Wow.
Most people can't do that.
No.
So I show how I did it and what people should have in place today, now. Even if you don't have it in place, you can start it. It doesn't matter what your age is, whether someone is younger in their 20s or someone that's in their 50s or 60s, you just have to start. You have to plan. You have to strategize. You have to have something in place. So that's where the book came in.
Is there a spiritual epiphany side of this book? Because you mentioned God's plan in the title. Did you have some kind of a spiritual experience during
Yes.
this? Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. Well, honestly, um, I would say the first traumatic thing that really happened to me 5 or 6 years ago, I really felt that God was telling me that I needed to slow down. In the industry that I'm in, you could work 24/7. And I love what I do. I love helping people get to their financial goals. And because I'm an advisor and I work with people generally after work, so I could start my day at 7 in the morning and still be at the office at 9 or 9:30, traveling all over the country. I have agents all across the country. I have clients all across the country. So jet setting, I'd be in California one day and I might be in New York the next day. So I kind of felt like God was saying, okay, you need to kind of slow down. And it got so bad, and you're going to laugh. It got so bad that after one of my surgeries, I remember saying to the doctor, how long is it going to take me to heal? Because I have a speaking engagement. And I've already committed to this engagement, and I know that if I back out now, that really wouldn't be good. And he said, well, I'm going to tell you, you're going to be bleeding for a minute, and that's less than a month away. And the type of surgery that was, we don't stitch you up. The wound actually has to close on its own. And you're going to be, doing different processes during the course of your day that requires you to literally rinse this wound off like 6 to 8 times a day for the first 2 weeks. And then we back it off. And I said, you know what? I'm still going to make it. And it's going to be okay. And I remember carrying my medical equipment, trying to get on the plane to get to this engagement, and having a conversation with the stewardesses because they did not want me to bring the equipment on the plane. And I remember saying to them, I don't have to bring the equipment on, but that means that there's going to be blood all in your seat. And when I said that, they were like, let her go. Just let her go. And I did. I made that engagement. And so I think God was saying, enough is enough is enough. I know that you enjoy what you're doing. And really, I don't look at what I do as a job. I have the best time. I meet great people and helping them. So after these sequences of events continued to happen that would literally make me stop, I said, okay, God, the cancer, I got it. I'm changing my schedule. I'm not running across the globe anymore. I'm cutting back my hours. I'm taking time for me and the family. And I'm just going to enjoy the rest of my life. I'll be 60 in 2 months.
You don't look it.
Thank you. Yeah.
You look
So
great.
I just said,
Yeah.
I'm going to enjoy the rest of my life. I'm not going to just run the globe for business. I'm going to help as many people as I can, stay local. And when I do travel, it will be for fun versus business.
We've got about 2 minutes left, and we've covered the book, but I want to get a kind of a takeaway summation from you. After all of this that you've been through, and it sounds like your business is very successful, you're doing well, how is the cancer at this point?
In remission.
Great. That's great.
In remission. But, I tell everyone, I've been speaking to a lot of different cancer patients, and I just say, you know what, you really have to kind of go with the flow and understand that you can get through it. You can get through it. Even if it does decide to come back, you can still get through it.
So the
Just have faith.
takeaway really is that people need to slow down. People need to stop and smell the roses, to use an old term.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Enjoy your family, enjoy your children, your grandchildren, because it might not be there tomorrow.
Exactly. And that was a wake-up call for me. That was a true wake-up call.
Well, that's great. And so where's book 2? Is that coming?
Well, I said I'm just going to continue with book 1 for right now, and then possibly in 2022, book 2 may be out.
Okay. How long has this book been out?
January actually was the release date, and we're still in pre-launch marketing right now. So I haven't even had the book launch yet. The date of it is not. It'll probably be within the next month. So it's still very new, 2 months out, basically.
Do you have a website that you want to give out that we can share with everyone?
Most definitely. My website is www.caseybaker&associates. So that's caseybaker&associates.com. And there is great information about my services there, as well as the book. So if you're interested in hearing more about the book, go to the Karen Story tab, and there's a link there for the book going directly to Amazon.
Thanks so much for coming on the show and sharing your story.
It's my pleasure. Thank you for having me.
Best of luck.
Thanks again.
It's a